Hello BJD fans, I'm Venetica, and this is part 1 of my Tanner BJD body review. Part 1 covers posing ability, part 2 covers aesthetics. It's a photo gallery with text commentary. If you'd like to check that out, the link is in my description. Our model here is Ultimate Sydney Chase Basic. She's a 16-inch fashion doll, but she fits into the MST category. She was released in 2008. I bought her in May of 2012. Her stringing is very solid. She doesn't need any suede or anything. Considering Tanner specializes in hard plastic and vinyl dolls with mechanical joints, I think they did a pretty good job with the BJD design. So let's start with her head cap. Let me adjust this a little bit. There we go. Pop that off. Magnet, latch piece, 2 stabilizing pieces. So as you can see, she does not have an S-hook, unfortunately. She just has a ring in its place. The knot, as you can see, isn't visible, so it's in her torso. So restringing her would be a little annoying, but hopefully I'll never have to do that. It is nice that they include a little ribbon here. It makes it, easier to pull out if you need to change out her head. Let's go to her neck. Side to side. Pretty good. She can lean it far back. The only thing she can't do is lean her head forward. That's as far as it'll go. And considering her proportions, and she has a smaller head and a thicker neck as compared to your typical BJD, the range of motion is pretty decent, considering. So now move to her shoulders, which is typical full range of motion. The one thing they did do a little differently is they tapered her arm here. And the reason they did that is so that she can fit closer to her body. Which is good since it's such a dramatic angle. So it gives the illusion of a little more range. Her elbows are single jointed, which by today's standards is a little outdated. But then again, she was made in 2008, and it's not a bad design. It's pretty classic. She can pivot it and move it wherever she wants. But it can only bend at a 90-degree angle. Her wrists, I think, are very nicely done. This is something that's overlooked on a lot of BJDs. She move it all the way forward and all the way back, and that's it. There's no little annoying ball joint here. It doesn't want to snap back. It's just perfectly done. Good engineering there. Now I'll move on to one of the more interesting design choices, and that is this giant ball joint in her waist, which looks a little strange, but it's pretty effective for posing. She can't arch her back, and that's as far as it'll go. But she can slouch, which is really important for sitting. So that's good. She does have a little humpback thing going on, but it's very slight. It's actually a lot nicer than a lot of the dolls I've seen. She can move side to side pretty well. And there's no locking mechanism or anything, it just stays where it is, which is why I say she doesn't need any sueding. I think that looks pretty nice and pretty natural. And here's one of the clumsy points that I think Tanner made. And because these ball joints in her hips kind of swim around, they're not very stable. They're effective for posing because they have such a good range, but they're really annoying when they move around, and you want to keep this part in the front because that's what allows her to sit. If it's off to the side, then she can't sit. And I put this little flat part here. I don't really know what that's for. I'm assuming it's for them to try to stabilize it, but obviously it didn't work out too well. She has a nice femoral joint here, which allows her to move her whole leg all the way around. So as I mentioned, she can sit at a 90-degree angle. She can't move her legs very far back. Let me fix that. But that's typical and that's normal. But she can do a split. And that's a natural split. She's not pulling the balls out of their sockets. So that's pretty impressive. Her knees are standard hinge, single jointed, nothing special. But something to note about them is that you can actually put them further than 90 degrees. And I don't know if that's intended because this little piece is showing. But I think it looks fine. And it's not straining it or anything. And here is an even clumsier design choice, in my opinion. I really question this design. Because even though it's attached with an S-hook, which is good for restringing, if you try to pose it, it just looks really deformed and very strange. Most BJDs have a ball joint here, so it's uniform when you turn it. In this case, they try to make it look a little more natural, which I'm not criticizing that. I'm just saying, for posing, it's really a failure. She can move it up a little bit. Can't really move it down very much. But considering her foot conforms to a specific type of shoe, you're not going to want to move her foot like that. It just looks ridiculous. So, completely pointless joint. That's, I gotta say, that's failing. The one real failing in this doll. So, let's move her. So like I said, I think Tonner did a pretty good job, considering they don't specialize in these types of dolls. They have made a few resin dolls, but I'm not sure the dates on them. Quick thing I want to mention is the first release of one of these dolls had flat feet. I believe this is a second release, and every other release has heel feet. I don't know if that makes a difference here, but either way, I guess it doesn't really matter. So that's it for part 1. If you'd like to check out part 2, the link is in my description. Thank you for watching.